Is there a moment where you felt that you're failing, and how did you kind of come out of that?
You can never get tired doing something you absolutely love. Right now, 25% of our power comes from solar farms.
Who do you think is responsible for sustainability?
Now, any mishaps in food safety can cost the brands a lot of money
Yeah.
due to social media. So I think dairy industry in India is very unique. And it needs to be looked only in the Indian context.
So do you think the dairy industry is not doing a good enough job in order to market themselves? Welcome to Breakthrough Moments, and today we have a very interesting brand, SK Farms, who is bringing high quality, hygienic dairy products with a focus on sustainability. Established in Vada in Maharashtra, the company emphasizes on hygienic milk production and offers a range of products such as cheese, paneer, curd, cream, and ghee. Today I have with me the co-founder Parag Shah on the show. And Parag, very happy to have you on the show and very pleased that you're here on my show. So walk us through your early vision behind building SK Farms and what are the gaps or problems that you had identified that you were solving back then?
So I moved to India from US in 2010, and I was coming from a tech background after a successful startup in US, which I was a part of. So when I came to India, I saw there was a huge gap in the packaged food sector. And to put it in perspective, 2010, which is not very far back, it's about 15 years ago, there were hardly companies selling curd. And everyone was making simple products like curd and paneer at home. The concept of packaged food had still not established itself. So I saw that a stark difference, because when we were staying in US, everyone used to eat out of the fridge. And over here, there was no concept of packaged food, let alone ready to eat food. So I felt that as the community develops, there'll be a need for convenience, and packaged food would be a big player in the coming years. So I want to do something in that space. And in that space, I identified dairy as the easiest and most widespread product range, because that's something that nearly everyone consumes daily. There are other formats which people might consume weekly or once a month or something like that, but dairy is something that almost everyone consumes daily.
I mean, the fact that it contributes 6% of our GDP and it employs around 80 million people in the workforce, right?
Correct.
Today, giving livelihood opportunities to millions of farmers.
Correct.
So I think it's a great business potential and opportunity for a company like yours to disrupt the market.
Yes, and not to mention that it's growing at almost 13 to 14% CAGR, which is quite unbelievable at this scale.
Yeah, right. So when you have companies like, say, an Amul, cooperatives like Amul, Nandini today, what is it that you guys do differently? Because at the end of the day, they sell the same products like milk, cheese. They have a huge manufacturing facility themselves as well. So how do you try to really bring in that sort of cost effectiveness to your customers, and what do you do differently compared to the other cooperatives which are already such large conglomerates today in India?
So there is quite a bit of difference. So the companies you mentioned, they are all brand owners and they're doing branding. There's still someone doing manufacturing, and it's not always they're doing the manufacturing themselves. So manufacturing and branding are two separate entities. And even companies like Amul do use a lot of third-party manufacturers all over India for various products.
Yeah.
Secondly, what happens is that the large conglomerates, they only go for products which are already established on a mass scale. And there are multitudes of products which are now making their space in the Indian market.
So because see, most people associate food with the end product, which is your paneer, cheese, ghee, or whatever you all are producing, right? But you focused on the back-end automation, you focused on private labels, and you also focused a lot on technology.
Correct.
So why did you believe that this side of the business was more important rather than you directly manufacturing for some of the biggest giants in the country?
So it wasn't thought of when the company started. It just went in this direction. So when we started off manufacturing, Epigamia was our first brand, and I was very closely associated with that team because the founders were my college friends, and the idea of Greek yogurt just came all of a sudden, and I didn't know that I would be manufacturing, let alone doing white label for other people. And we just started off with some trials that let's see if we can make a Greek yogurt which can be put in the market in India. And that's how the idea started out. And before I know, I was setting up a plant to manufacture Greek yogurt at a large scale.
Yeah.
And so gradually, as we developed our expertise in processes and food safety, food manufacturing, it just made more sense to widen our horizons and do more products for other people, because there are a lot of brands now in the Indian space who are focusing on the branding part, and they are looking for trustable partners to do the manufacturing for them.
Right. So
So
that's where companies like yours actually
correct,
step in and help larger brands or cooperatives where
correct,
you help them with the manufacturing process.
correct.
So you mentioned interestingly that you were manufacturing for a brand like Epigamia, right? So at what point did you realize that your strength in operations and supply chain or supply could actually become a competitive advantage for you as a brand? At what point did you realize? What was the turning point?
So I think this was primarily post-COVID. And post-COVID, there are a lot of brands that started coming in the health space and giving a spin to the dairy products to focus on the health space. And that's where a niche manufacturing company like us comes into the picture, who can help them with the experimentation part, start off small and
Yeah.
grow large.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of food habits which changed during COVID were definitely a turning point in the game for us.
So, what were some of the changes you saw, say, pre COVID and post COVID, in terms of food consumption or food habits of people in general?
So I think people became very conscious about what they were consuming post COVID, and last 3 to 4 years has also been this wave of information regarding food safety, regarding health, regarding food trends on what to consume, different diets which keep on changing after every 6 months.
Yeah.
So these kind of fads have got into India in the last 4 to 5 years, largely due to the spread of social media and influencers.
Yeah.
And now people are quite conscious of what they are consuming.
Yeah.
They read the label as to what the ingredients are. They try to see what the nutrition is.
Yeah.
And so the food habits are changing a lot post-COVID. People have just become more health conscious
Yeah.
due to the spreading.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, when you talk about food consumption changing, of course, one is about awareness. There's more awareness crept in our society today because, as you rightly said, because of marketing, because of so many channels that people can, the accessibility
Correct.
has become so easy.
Correct.
And there are so many channels that help people in order to make informed decisions, I would say.
Correct.
But what are some of the key trends that you're seeing in the sense that, keto, for example, became a big fad very recently, right? And then people went on to say vegan diets. So are you seeing any such new trends coming up, say in the last 1 or 2 years at least?
So few trends that I'm seeing coming up are functional foods, where it's not just about making a particular product which is generic, but how does it help a particular person in their daily life? Something that is, let's say, for example, if the current trend is keto, then you would certainly find a lot of food options in the keto space. If the trend is vegan, then you would find a lot of options in the vegan space. So functional foods is definitely the way it is moving
So
forward.
when you say functional foods, can you elaborate a little bit on what do you mean by functional foods?
Functional foods is basically which is helping you deal with a particular aspect of nutrition that you lack. So, for example, there could be a protein shake which is generic, and there could also be protein shakes which are geared towards a particular gender or age group.
Okay.
So, something that is geared towards a particular gender or age group, I would call that a functional food.
Okay.
Because that's not just a common product for everybody, but there's a product which is specifically for, let's say, younger kids or
it's very niche. It's
people
it's
who are
addressing a
older
particular age group or a problem
Correct.
or a certain sector
Correct.
of community.
Correct.
Basically.
Or it could be, let's say, it could be something that deals specifically for better eyesight or skin and hair, and incorporating that into a food product that's going to be consumed daily or a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that niche is growing quite rapidly, and also clean label is growing quite rapidly. Like people are becoming increasingly aware of what they're consuming. They read the ingredients.
Yeah.
And when they see a whole bunch of names that they do not understand, like a whole bunch of E numbers and chemicals, so people are not very pleased with consuming those products. And there's a trend towards clean labels where people want ingredients that they understand to be present in the product.
Right. So tell us what are your product ranges? Right from I understand you have products like you delve into paneer, cheese, ghee, those kind of products. Are there any new products that you all are adding on right now at SK Farms?
So we are continuously working on adding new products to our pipeline. Something we've been working over the last 6 months or so is Philadelphia style cream cheese,
Okay.
and we're going to start doing that in, let's say, a month or so from now. So we are
Okay.
towards the tail end of that cycle.
Right. Right.
And
And what is the sort of demand you're seeing in terms of say a Philadelphia cream cheese or any other new products that you're seeing massive demand for?
so the massive demand is definitely for there's a lot of protein revolution going on right now, where people want to consume protein as per their body weight,
Yeah.
and they want everything they consume on a daily basis to you know uh, contribute something towards that protein percentage.
Yeah.
So we are definitely seeing a lot of push on all the generic products, but with specific push on their protein content. So, for example, we'll be launching high protein paneer for a brand very soon,
Okay.
and that will have almost in a serving it would have about 35 grams of protein.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's pretty
So
high.
that balances out the protein intake also for people, because a lot of the guys who are say going to the gym, hitting the gym, or athletes, for example, or sports people, they require a lot of protein in their
Correct.
diets.
Correct.
And in general, we need to have a fair amount of protein, balance
Correct.
vis-a-vis say carbs or fat in our body.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. So did you do some sort of a survey or research that led you to make a decision that okay, this product is going to work?
Uh, so since we are purely from the white label manufacturing side, we don't spend much time in doing research on the trends, but we do keep ourselves abreast with what's happening, what other people are doing worldwide, what other companies are trying to do in India, so that if we have a requirement from one of our co-brand owners to manufacture the product, then we have at least the facility and the expertise to do that.
Got it.
So high protein is definitely something that people are incorporating slowly in all products: milk, curd, paneer, things that you consume daily.
Yeah.
And then obviously you can have other products as well, such as protein shakes, which are made
Yeah.
from milk.
Yeah.
So we try to ensure that our facility is up to date and it can meet those demands.
Got it. And in terms of distribution, can you explain me your distribution model? How does that work for your business?
So for us, most of the companies that buy products from us, they take it from our plant to their depots and they handle the distribution.
Okay.
So we are not really in the supply chain space.
Okay.
And we provide, and all these products are in the fresh category, they are in the refrigerated category.
Yeah.
So typically they are distributed in a particular geographical region. For example, of the west region, which would incorporate, let's say, Bombay, Pune, Nasik, Ahmednagar, Surat, Vapi, based out of our facility. So the supply chain is taken care by the brands.
Okay.
But one huge factor that has helped all these brands tremendously in the last few years in reaching out to the consumers has been the surgence of the online companies, your Zepto, Blinkit, etc.
Yeah.
Because now these companies are taking a single point delivery from these brands and taking care of the logistics and supply chain. So it's made it really easy for brands to come in, make a nice product, find a manufacturer, and the distribution is taken care of by these companies.
Okay. So the brands directly, the supply chain works in a way that the brands directly come to your facility and pick up the products.
Correct.
Right. And then that gets, of course, e-commerce revolution has kind of
Yes,
helped
that's helped
in
them a
the
lot.
boom, of course, right. Now, quality is a big concern in India's dairy industry due to a lot of past issues, whether it was contamination or trust. So how do you personally define quality, and how does SK Farms ensure quality at scale?
So quality, I believe, is a part of setting the correct processes. Whenever you're making a product, you need to identify. So in our field, it's called CCPs, which is critical control points. So you need to identify where things can go wrong. And then you need to ensure that you have measures to monitor those critical control points. And in case there is a critical control point which is not being met, so you have something to fall back on. That how do you prevent the product not meeting the parameters based on those critical control points. So if the correct technical processes are followed, it's not very hard, but the mindset is required. You need to be driven to provide a quality product. You need to have an approach which says that what is completely not acceptable, and because all these things have some effort and cost associated to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So if you have the mindset, it's not a very hard thing to do,
Right.
but you require the determination to,
Right. So have you
doing that.
set those standards within your organization with your team members or even your workforce who's working at the manufacturing unit?
Correct. So we have always inculcated that from the day one,
Yeah.
and we keep it very simple. Like any product going out of the facility, you should be happy to consume it yourselves, and you should be happy for your family to consume it.
Yeah.
And anytime that benchmark is not being met, then it should not be going out.
Right. And how do you deal with concerns like contamination and those kind of concerns which consumers have today? Because dairy is often being, if you read about the dairy industry, you'll always see a lot of negative news
Correct.
in terms of contamination and, brands not using eco-friendly practices. So how do you deal with those kind of issues in the business?
So we have set up an extensive facility with a very large lab. We have almost over 20 food technologists, microbiologists, dairy
Okay.
technologists working
Okay.
to ensure quality at each step. And how it works is that each step there are people responsible who, without whose check, the product cannot go further.
Okay.
So whether it's incoming of raw materials, products that are in process, products that have been already been manufactured,
Yeah.
unless they pass the certain quality parameters that have been set, they are not released.
Okay.
So this allows us to ensure that before reaching the end consumer, all the parameters that we strive to check have been checked, have been verified,
Yeah.
and only then it goes to the consumers.
Got it. And in your business, while you were building your business, you said you started about 15 years back. Of course, as any founder or entrepreneur goes through a lot of challenges, what are some of the few challenges or problems you are trying to solve for right now? You're actively trying to solve for at this point in time.
So
Maybe if you can give our viewers an understanding of what are the challenges the dairy industry has
Okay.
as an industry problem, and then if you can address what are some of those challenges you're going through your business and what are some of the solutions you have come up with, I think that will be interesting for our viewers.
So dairy industry as such has a huge challenge in terms of demand supply, because the milk production is seasonal. You don't get the same kind of milk production throughout the year. Animals produce milk in cycles, and the consumption need not follow the cycles of the milk production.
Yeah.
So you need the big challenge is that you always need to ensure that you have surplus milk supply of a particular quality that you want, so that you can give your customers the correct quality product throughout the year. So that is one of the common challenge which is there for any dairy industry. For us particularly, we've always been facing a challenge where our financial advisors always ask us this question, that why you're not doing your own brand, and that's something that is more lucrative, and why you sticking to white labeling. So that's a challenge and a question we always face, and we are trying to find a middle ground there. We are very passionate about what we are doing. We want to keep focusing on manufacturing and providing good solution for companies. But at the same time, what we are also doing is we have set up a R&D facility where we are working on new products. And as we develop these new products, we are looking to file IP around these products. So these products can then be given to other companies with the IP to sell. So that way we have some skin in the game, even with the brands and the products.
Right. So any particular reason why you only decided to do white labeling? Was there a conscious business decision that you are not planning to have your own brand?
So it's more about what you feel very passionately about, and everyone is going to have a different set of skill set and what they enjoy doing. So for me personally, coming from an engineering background, I like to solve problems. I'm a process oriented person. I like to create new processes, improve the current processes. So that's something that excites me and interests me.
Right.
And I don't feel the same way for branding and marketing. So that's the reason my company is going in the direction that I feel more passionately about.
Right. Now, coming back to challenges, as you were speaking, right, about the challenges, the demand supply gap you mentioned, and of course, with the white labeling perspective that you gave me, what are some of the solutions you feel that will really help you to take the next leap of faith or next step towards building your brand?
So,
I mean, how do you solve for demand supply? Like, as you said, it's cyclical, right? If it's completely cyclical, when the animal feed, when the season is there, you're able to,
Correct.
take the milk out from the cow and then,
Correct.
produce it. So how do you fill that gap? Like, what do you do to fill that
So
gap?
for that, we ensure a very robust supply of milk to us, and we always keep it on a higher side. So even when the let's say the you call it lean period and the flush period in the milk industry. Flush is when you have a full quantity of milk, and lean is typically the summer seasons, which is March, April, May, June, where the animals the milking quantity per animal reduces. So typically what we do is we factor in the worst possible case of the year, and we ensure that milk supplies are sufficient for the summer season, and we operate it that way, so that even in the worst conditions we are not having to go to new vendors
Yeah.
where the quality might be suspect.
Got it. And while you were building the business, were there some biggest misconceptions or doubts people had about what you were building? Whether it was any investors in your company, or it could be even employees, or it could be partners or vendors. And how did you get out of those? Like, what kind of solutions did you have to address those misconceptions?
So for us, we were pretty clear of what we wanted to do. We wanted to create very high quality dairy products. We sort of wanted to be the gold standard when it comes to dairy manufacturing. So that's what we wanted to do, and we were very clear. The confusion always was around that, will there be any takers? Because when you try to create something that is niche, that is high end, that is good, brands might not always bite, because they are also looking at their bottom lines, top lines, and there's a cost to pay for quality. And that sort of changed over the last 3-4 years, because now any mishaps in food safety can cost the brands a lot of money
Yeah.
due to social media.
Yeah.
So the brands have started paying a lot of attention to the kind of places that they are getting their products manufactured, and that's sort of catching up, where companies like us are getting in high demand, where people want to be sure that what the products that they're getting manufactured are going to meet certain food safety standards.
Yeah, so I'm glad you touched upon that, because food safety is a big concern, right? You
Correct.
need to have the right sort of certifications, especially with FSSAI.
Correct.
So, are there any challenges that you see there on that front that you are trying to solve for, especially with all these FSSAI guidelines that you have? Because there are a lot of other certifications also you need to have in place,
Correct.
especially with dairy as an industry. So, how do you deal with those? Are there any challenges that you face, especially with bodies like FSSAI?
No, we don't face any challenges. In fact, we always try that our standards are much higher than the standards that the government is setting. So even in terms of certifications, we do a lot of certifications which are voluntary, and which are a very high, which are much higher standards than what the government has set. So for example, we have HACCP 22,000, which is done by a German company, which comes and audits us, and the standards, the parameters that they test go above and beyond the FSSAI parameters. And also regarding the products that we make sure that our products are at a much higher standard than what the government is mandating us to do. So, and I feel those standards need to get stricter over time for the food quality in general to improve in India, and FSSAI is working very tirelessly in that direction.
Right, great. I was also reading a couple of articles, on non-veg milk.
Correct.
That really caught my attention. So, what is this bone of contention of how is it affecting? There was an article which I read about how it's affecting the India-US trade deal. So, can you throw some light on this topic? Because I think this is a very pertinent topic. Because when you talk of non-veg milk, it is about feeding these cows meat products. It
Correct.
could be fish, it could be cats, dogs, or any sort of meat products.
Correct.
They're injected with.
Correct.
So, can you throw some light on that?
So the dairy industry in India and US are very, very different. They are poles apart. And while there might be many differences, so whatever is getting consumed by the animal is through the bloodstream going to make it in the milk.
Yeah.
And India has a high percentage of population which is veg only.
Yeah.
Even people who have meat everyone does not eat everything. Like,
Yeah.
there are people who don't consume beef. There are certain section but don't consume ham.
Yeah.
So if the animals start getting fed non-veg food, which you cannot even quantify what they're getting fed,
Yeah.
and those things are making its way into milk, that's what it's termed as non-veg milk.
Yeah.
And I don't think that India as a society is ready for it. The consumers are obviously not really aware. If an American company comes here, starts selling milk, they're not going to advertise or categorize it as non-veg milk, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be acceptable to the Indian public at large.
Yeah.
So the government is just doing things which are more in line with the what culturally our country can accept.
Absolutely. No, you're right, because I think there's this whole religious sentiment, right, in our
Correct.
country. And as you said, a large chunk of our population is
Correct.
are vegetarian eaters.
Correct.
So I think there is that line that if other countries want to import or they want to come into India, then that's going to be a
Correct.
huge entry barrier,
Yes.
I would say.
And it's reciprocal, right? So even when Indian companies are trying to export, there are certain certifications they need. For
Yeah.
example, Indian meat exports to certain countries require halal certification, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have certifications and requirements to the
Yeah.
destination country you're trying to put your products in, and it's a fairly simple demand.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I was also curious to ask you, there is a lot of chatter around A2 milk, A1 milk
Correct.
versus traditional milk. So, can you demystify some concepts that first of all, what is the difference between A2 and A1 milk, and whether there is a difference, and which one do you think has greater health benefits?
So A1 and A2 are two different types of protein strains which are present in milk. Now, interestingly, all the Indian breeds, which is the Kathiawadi cows, the water buffaloes. So India, as a milk producing nation, historically has always had A2 milk. All these breeds, the protein that they produce from their body, which goes to the milk, is A2, which is far superior in terms of digestion and bioavailability than A1 milk, which has been proven in labs.
So, you mean A2 milk is far better than A1 milk?
Correct.
Because
So-
of
because
the
the A1 and
digestion.
A2 are two different types of proteins which are present in the milk. So the Indian original breeds now, in today's day, all the cow milk is not Indian breeds anymore, sadly.
yeah.
It's all hybrid because of the new animals that have come in or have been crossbred into the Indian breed for
Yeah.
higher productivity.
Hmm.
But still, the original Indian breed and the buffalo milk has A2 proteins which are much more easier to digest in the body, and they're definitely far superior. And it's something that, for example, there are regions in Italy which produce a certain strain for cheese, and they celebrate it and they promote it. And we need to do the same. If we have something good, we need to, promote it and put it forward.
Right.
And having said that, there is also a lot of misbranding around A1 and A2. So like I just explained, A1 and A2 are two different types of protein. Now, for example, ghee does not have any protein.
Okay.
And-
But it's always marketed as A2 ghee.
Exactly. So
Right?
so that is misbranding that needs to be frowned upon and not allowed.
Now, Parag, I'd love to ask you a little bit on your personal story as well, because this show is obviously the core of the show is on business entrepreneurship and leadership, but it is also on the personal story of the founders. So, how would you truly describe yourself as a founder and as a person in a few words, and it truly reflects who you are as a person?
So I think this journey for me has been a journey of self-discovery, because being an entrepreneur and running my own business, being responsible for others, is not something that I was trained to do. It's a first generation business. So this has been a very interesting journey, and I'm always striving to bring out the best in my employees and my team. And a huge part of that is I have to work on self improvement, and how I can bring out the best in others, I have to bring out the best in myself too. So I think it's been a journey of self exploration.
So, is this your first company, or did you have earlier companies you've started before this as well?
So this has been the first company which has been my own. Before that, I was working in other companies in the tech segment.
What sparked the interest? Did that spark of interest come back early then while you started the company, or as you said, the journey was more of self-discovery and then you just kind of learned along the way and built the company?
So I think I just learned along the way. And when I moved to India, my core expertise was cloud computing. I was early engineer in a company called VMware, which invented the concept of cloud computing.
Yeah.
And that was my core domain expertise. So when I decided to shift to India, the concept of cloud computing wasn't still here.
Yeah.
So doing something of my core expertise was not an option for me at that time. And I gravitated towards the food industry. I think I'm just very passionate about food in general. I love consuming different items. Something I feel very, passionately about. So I
Yeah.
just gravitated towards that, and then I just learned the niches of dairy industry, particularly as I went along. I'm an avid reader, so I used to read a lot. I travel quite frequently to other companies, other dairy plants, other places, and I get to meet people, share their experiences,
Yeah.
learn from that. So it's been just a journey where I'm still learning.
Amazing. And any sort of learnings or inspirations that you've had, say, from a global context, say from other markets like, say, US, UK, which you have learned and which you have probably included that as a part of your business model?
I think a big learning has been that in the markets outside India, and now to a great extent in India also, uh, quality is a non-negotiable, and it's a never-ending journey. You could never reach, you could be at the perfect quality, but you have to keep on striving
Yeah.
and moving towards that, and you're going to continue doing that for a long time. But that is a absolute non-negotiable in in the developed countries, and that culture is now fast catching up in India as well.
So today, how many people work for you, Parag?
We have approximately 200 odd people working for us.
Right. And when you have such a large team, how do you kind of manage, how do you build a second line of leaders? Because having such scale, it's not easy to manage a team of 200 people. So, what's your style? How do you manage your second line of leaders? And how do you just, lead and inspire people?
Uh, so when we started off, we were a very small company and we had a very small team. And so far, we have always tried to grow organically. Like as the company has grown, we have tried that the people should also grow, and people who are doing well in a particular field, we have tried to give them bigger opportunities instead of trying to go out and get more senior people to do who have experience in other companies.
Yeah.
So far we have tried to do that, and we have had good success with it, where most of our key people have been with us in the start of the company, and like us, they were also all freshers when they were starting off. So these are not very senior people, but they've been with us from the start, and they've helped us develop, and they're developing as well.
So you basically they've trained with you and trained all along as you build the
Yes,
company.
yes.
Okay, that's very inspiring. Building a business often changes personal relationships and boundaries, right? So have you had moments where the lines are blurring, say, between your personal life and your professional life? Have you had moments like those while you were building, and how did you handle that?
So when I was starting off, those were challenging times because there's no you don't have a preset idea of what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. So obviously the hours that you spend on work are more than idle, and at that time I had a young family, so it was a bit challenging. But over time, as the company has developed and now have a second line of command chain, etc. So now I try to ensure that I have a work-life balance where both the things are accordingly given time.
And how do you manage failure? Like every business owner or entrepreneur can relate to this, right? We've all failed, and we've always had those moments of self doubt. So how do you manage as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a founder of a company who's responsible for the livelihood of 200 people? Is there a moment where you felt that you're failing, and how did you kind of come out of that, and what is the approach that changed at that point in time?
So I think you have to always recognize failure. Like a lot of time, people are in denial, and that sort of hurts them. Because the sooner, like if you have to fail, you need to fail quickly, you need to fail fast, and you need to pivot. And sometimes people are too emotionally attached, or they are not able to recognize the signs, and that could be a costly mistake, because then the further down you are in the path, it's harder to recover.
So when you say, could you say that don't be emotionally attached to your business? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, don't be emotionally attached to decisions. Like, sometimes you might feel a certain way, but that's not going correctly. So you should always be open to suggestions, open to other ideas, which can help you pivot.
Got it. So have there been any such moments in your business where you experience those moments of failures?
Yes. So the first factory we set up, and we set up with zero knowledge about dairy industry, about food processing, and we were very happy about it. And before we were going to start a factory, we had a visit from a very uh, senior person from the food industry, and he told us that there's no way you can do this in the current setup that you have made. And we recognized that, and immediately before starting the factory, we delayed it by few months, and we did the whole thing again. Or so that's what I mean when I say you fail quickly and you pivot. Had we said no, this guy is coming from a different perspective, we'll stick to this and we'll see what happens. So that failure would have been much worse, harder to recover from than what we did.
Right. So it's about making those quick decisions and then just acting upon
Correct.
it, is what you would say. Right. Now, today there's a lot of pressure in India's startup culture to be constantly hustling, whether it's building a business in a startup environment or even otherwise for SMEs, just like you, who contribute to 70% of the growth, because 70% of the GDP is actually through SMEs like yours,
Correct.
who are actually building such phenomenal businesses. So, do you feel that founders today are being encouraged to slow down, or is burnout still something that is worn like a badge of honor? What's your opinion on that?
So I have mixed feelings about that. So when people say burnout and how they categorize it is different, it could be physical or mental. Uh, I believe physical or mental burnout in doing something that you're very, very excited and passionate about is not possible. Like, you can never get tired doing something you absolutely love. But when people start chasing numbers and goalposts instead of doing something that they love and start taking decisions which they wouldn't have taken otherwise, I think that's when things like burnout happens, because then you're chasing something that you're not very passionate about, and you're trying to do things for the wrong reasons. So, but in terms of, I believe a lot of founders have done very well for themselves and for their companies, and there have been a lot of health scares as well. And a lot of these health scares could actually be attributed to COVID related illnesses or poor lifestyle choices, and not really necessarily related to the business aspect of things. But now every time unicorn founder has a health scare, people are quick to jump on it and say it's because of a burnout or something of that sort. I don't believe that's always the case. It definitely could be the case in some instances, but I believe it's a bit overhyped than what it needs to be.
Right. So, what are you chasing in your business? What are the metrics you chase in your business as a founder?
So we are a fairly laid back company, and we don't chase much. We are just enjoying what we are doing, and all the business growth that has been there has been organic. I think today there is a demand for everything in the market. So as long as you know what you want to do, you'll always be able to find people who have a similar mindset, whether it be consumers or it be other company partners. So as long as you are very sure of what you want to do, you will be able to find people to reciprocate to that.
No, absolutely amazing. I also wanted to ask you a little bit on your sustainability initiatives. I know you've invested in solar power, zero discharge solar systems, and water harvesting as well. So, why did you think that sustainability was such a core part of your business?
So it's a core part of what I feel strongly about, and sustainability is never going to be easy or a natural choice for anybody. You have to make the extra effort. Uh, in most cases, there is no payback for sustainability that you can see right in front of your eyes or which can show on your balance sheets.
Yeah.
But natural resources are very limited, and if we don't do this, then we just leave a worse conditions for our next generations.
Right. So, was it just an afterthought being a sustainable company, or was it more like you wanted to imbibe that as a culture in your organization? What
No,
was it
we've been
more?
doing it from the day one. So whenever we have made any choices, we try to go that extra mile. Like, everyone is operating under some budget constraints, but every time we are doing a project, we do like to allocate some portion of it to making that project more sustainable. And it is our target that as we grow, our company, we want to continuously keep on reducing our footprint. And if we can achieve a zero footprint somewhere in the future, that would make us very happy.
Right. So, what are some of the sustainability initiatives you all are taking at SK Farms in the current scenario?
So in the current scenario for us, the utilities are what we are consuming as natural resources. So like you said, we have solar farms,
Yeah.
which so we are trying to grow that every year. Right now, 25% of our power comes from solar farms, which is quite decent. But we would like to take it to 100% as the technology and the you know as the technology develops.
Yeah.
Uh, and in terms of water, we try to do a lot of water harvesting. We make an effort to put back the amount of water that we are consuming back into the earth, so
Yeah.
that our footprint is lesser.
Right.
During the rainy seasons, we are directly able to harvest this water and use it. So we are not using the other water resources during 3 to 4 months of the rain season. In initiatives such as this, we have also tried to hold workshops in the villages, teaching them about water harvesting, the benefits,
Okay.
how it can be done in very inexpensive ways using things that might be lying around in the house. So we try to work in that direction.
Awesome. Very nice. I mean, it's great to see companies like yours because people just, I think, sometimes just talk about sustainability just for the heck of it. But there are very few companies who actually act upon it, who are actually making real impact, I would say. So kudos to you on that. So, who do you think is responsible for sustainability? Do you think it's a responsibility of the consumers, the brands themselves, or do you think the government should also do a lot towards sustainability? Who do you think should play a role in this
So I
whole
think all
ecosystem?
individuals are going to play a role, because sustainability is not only something that's related to manufacturing. It's daily choices that you choose to make. Like, simple things like carrying your own bag when going for a grocery shopping has an effect on the environment. Not leaving the faucet on when you're not using the water.
Yeah.
Simple choices go a very long way.
Yeah.
And I think it's a collective effort. It's not something that companies or a few individuals can make for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a large population and everyone needs to contribute towards it. Government is definitely forming policies which are encouraging uh, initiatives which are around sustainability, but I think there's a lot of work that still
Yeah.
requires to be done in that area.
So let's talk a little bit on your branding and the evolution of marketing, right? So, looking at your product line, is there anything on branding or packaging or product line that you felt made a real difference, and anything that you're particularly proud of or you want to highlight to our viewers today?
So again, we don't do branding and marketing. So we create products that other brands product and market. So we're
Right.
not really in that space.
But even to get your word out there to say other people who actually buy from you, how do you put the word out there? How do you do that marketing story? Even if it's, I understand you're not a consumer facing brand, but even in order for you to be seen, how do you ensure that brand recall with your target customer?
So, in terms of dairy manufacturing, we are still a very young company. We started about 9 years back, and we have pretty much grown organically, where we don't have a channel where we market ourselves, and we have just been making good products. And when a product goes out, there is a manufactured by written on that product where our name goes. And so far, all the business development that has happened because other brands, they see a particular product, they feel it is better than the rest, and then they
Yeah.
go and see who's manufacturing it, and they
Right.
contact us. So we try to associate ourselves with good brands. We try to associate ourselves with good products,
Yeah.
and the business development part so far has taken care of itself.
Right. Do you have any plans on the branding and the marketing side to evolve as a company so that you are able to generate better revenue for the business?
So we are looking at creating products. We have created a few products. We have also filed for IP for for particular products that we have created, which we feel are unique and no one is currently doing. And we are exploring whether we want to do those products ourselves right now, or we just want to keep on creating and letting other companies use our IP to market those products. So that's something
Got
we are
it.
still debating internally.
Understood. And in terms of your core identity, like not just what you do, but what you stand for as a company, how would you describe summarize your core identity as a company for SK Farms?
So, in short, we would like to be the Mercedes Benz of dairy products.
Hmm.
You know, it's absolutely no compromises. The best that can be out there. So that's what we strive ourselves to be.
Right, where you focus on, say, premium quality products for
Yes.
your target customers. Right. And when you think about marketing for dairy products, right, there is a lot of debate around that in terms of the narrative needs to change. So, what do you think the approach as marketeers we need to have? And where should that marketing change in terms of the way people are talking about dairy? Because there are so many misconceptions as we spoke, right? And people are not well aware or educated on those lines. So, where do you think the narrative should actually go in terms of marketing for dairy products?
So I think the dairy companies themselves are also responsible to a great degree for creating a false narrative, because you see this quite a lot, and companies will go and say that our product is pure, and we are the only guys whose product is pure, and that sort of I feel is self-defeating, because in promoting your own product you are letting down the entire industry, and that's not the reality of things. So
Yeah.
I think people need to get more. They need to move past that, and they need to get more creative. They need to create value in their products. Like how is their product different? How are their processes different?
So, do
And
you think the dairy industry is not doing a good enough job in order to market themselves?
I think there's some movement now, but for the largest time there has been a very large gap where people just want to push the products out, but there's very less creativity. There's very less. Very few new products coming. One good example of a new product that I saw after a very long time is I believe ITC launched a ghee which has 90% less cholesterol. Now, ghee is something that's not made anywhere else in the world, and companies have been selling the same thing with fictitious marketing around the same product. But a company went out, they did their R&D, and they tried to create a better product. So I feel that's the correct approach that companies need to take, and there's a lot of scope in that, rather than selling the same product with fictitious stories around it.
And with more and more people now choosing vegan lifestyles, they are also looking at different plant-based diets. Would SK Farms move into say alternatives like today almond milk or oat milk has been spoken about so much, right? So are you guys also trying to venture out into other areas in alternatives?
So we have manufactured coconut yogurts in the past, almond yogurts in the past. In fact, there are some trials happening for another coconut yogurt as we speak. So we are always ready to provide options for people who want to explore those options. The vegan industry, however, is in a very nascent stage in India right now, and we are in the fresh category, where once a product is made, has to be consumed within, let's say, a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So those volumes are still not there. Where in the fresh category, most of the vegan products that we have explored so far, the return percentages are very high, where there's a lot of unsold inventory due to low shelf life. So, but as the industry is developing, we are definitely geared towards providing vegan alternatives as well.
Okay, so you're working towards those plans as well
Yes.
to in order to adapt to the
We
changing
have had
consumer
products in the
trends.
market which are vegan alternatives.
And how has been the response of those products?
So like I said, the response has been very lukewarm,
Okay.
because the demand is not there enough to service the market. But it is a growing industry.
Right. And with the changing health trends today on and especially with environmental awareness, more and more people getting more aware. Where do you see the dairy industry in India, say in the next 10 years? Where is it headed towards?
So we have traditionally been a milk surplus nation, and I see that could change in the coming years because the dairy consumption is increasing at a very, very rapid pace.
Yeah.
So I believe that in the coming decades, the government is also trying to take out a lot of policies to encourage dairy farmers to grow. But as of right now, the consumption rate is higher than the production rate. I believe the consumption rate is increasing at 12 to 13%, and the production rate is increasing at about 3 to 4%. So there's a huge gap there.
Yeah.
And in the coming decades, we could become a milk deficit nation instead of being a milk surplus nation that we are today.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that there needs to be more production.
Correct.
And more people like you, for example, who need to have production facilities or manufacturing units to produce more milk in order to meet that demand of the growing population.
Yeah, basically at the farmer level, people who are producing the milk, we mostly process it, but the farmers, they need to be encouraged to have a higher production of milk.
Now, when it comes to plant-based milk, do you think people in their industry should be allowed to use the word milk because it's plant-based? It's vegan in that sense. So do you think that word milk should be associated with plant-based? What's your opinion on that?
So I personally am on the liberal side of things when it comes to that. Although I am predominantly from the dairy industry, I don't see any problem. I don't think someone can confuse themselves with a cow milk and almond milk that tastes quite different. And ultimately, at the bottom, the producers are all farmers. Like the farmers are growing the crops, the farmers are growing the millets, the almonds. They are the ones who are producing the milk. So while making any of these choices, we should always keep their interest paramount. Does it help them to get better remunerations if these things are allowed, or does it hurt them in some way? And I think that should be the basis of the call. But I don't see anyone consuming almond milk out of confusion, thinking it is cow milk. I don't see that happening.
Was also keen to ask you in terms of the government's policies and intervention in the dairy industry. So, what steps do you think the government should take to make this industry more lucrative and that more people join the bandwagon? As you said, there is a demand-supply gap, and totally clearly in terms of the production that's happening at the farmer level. So, what kind of incentives or initiatives do you think the government should play? What role should the government play in order to make it more lucrative?
I think the dairy industry has grown in India by leaps and bounds, and a lot of it is because of the government initiatives that have been taken over the last few decades. There are a lot of subsidies available for farmers, not for commercial farming, but on a farmer level, farmers are provided subsidies for animal rearing when it's on a smaller level, like let's say less than 6 animals. So government has been encouraging that since many decades, and that has made us into a milk surplus nation today. What they can do to keep the next generation of farmers interested in farming, that's a tough one to answer. Because a younger generation needs to be, if the younger generation of farmers are not farmers anymore, then that would be a tough spot for us to be in.
Right. And I would also love to ask you in terms of, the health benefits of dairy. Again, there are a lot of misconceptions that you should not consume dairy products. People say you should shift to alternatives. So what are some of the benefits of dairy products, or that most people either don't know or they misunderstand completely in the Indian context?
So again, now this could be a personal belief, and I am a huge proponent of clean label foods, and dairy products inherently are clean label. So let's say, for example, you look at a milk pouch and versus you look at a pouch of almond milk. In milk pouch there is no ingredient other than milk. It's just been heated to give it a shelf life of a few days, and then it has been delivered to the doorstep.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at, let's say for example, almond milk, it's going to have a whole set of ingredients, probably like at least 10. And other than almond and water, the other 8 you would probably not recognize. So I feel dairy has got a lot of benefits. It's just a natural source of nutrition, most natural source of nutrition, easiest digestible source of nutrition, and it just needs to be marketed on those grounds, which is starting to happen now. Like companies are writing the protein percentage on the front rather than back in the nutrition of a milk pouch. Like, a normal glass of milk gives 10 grams of proteins, something that most people consuming milk since decades would not know. It gives calcium and phosphorus, which is very important for bone health. So now companies are starting to focus on the health benefits of dairy products, and they're trying to change their marketing angle of things to quell these misconceptions.
Do you think that that's really happening? Because when we look at, say, going to nutritionists and dietitians today, they in fact tell you the opposite, where they say don't consume milk, instead consume alternatives like, say, coconut milk or an oat milk or a almond milk. So do you think that's really happening? Because with the younger generation, at least what I'm seeing, at least in my peers, in my ecosystem, the people that we know, they're all shifting to alternatives now and not consuming milk in the first place.
So I believe people who are not consuming milk are maybe more active online. So there's so vegan is a growing trend, and I'm all for it. But having tried to sell vegan products, I know that the actual buyers are very less. So, but the buyers who are there are very active, and they're very active in the domain. So,
so you mean there is a small percentage of guys who are wanting to adopt veganism?
Correct.
Vis-a-vis, people who actually consume dairy products.
Correct. So, and like I said, the dairy demand is growing at a very, very rapid pace as affordability is increasing. So the biggest challenge would actually be to meet that demand. And I don't see, so for any sustainability, I believe there should be diversity. If everyone was consuming only milk, we would have shortage of milk. If everyone was consuming only almond milk, we would have shortage of almonds. So there needs to be diversity. People need to have different food choices so that the nutrition load can be balanced out to all the forms of nutrition sources.
Right.
But I don't see veganism replacing dairy to a point where dairy products would need to find buyers.
And what do you feel is like the ideal percentage of protein you should consume for an individual? Or does it vary depending on age as well?
So my personal belief is that as long as you're not eating packaged food, you could be having anything and you would have a healthy life. I believe the concept of 1 gram of protein per 1 kg of body weight is quite misplaced, and it's not required, at least by the Indian bodies. All bodies are different. There is climate, culture, a lot of things, eating habits that has gone over centuries, and different races have different needs physically. So I personally I'm not of the opinion of counting calories or protein, etc. I feel if you can eat fresh food and not in a non-packaged form, it would definitely be healthy and
a healthier choice.
Yeah.
But is there a percentage in terms of how much should people consume on a daily basis, say?
I have a 17-year-old son. He believes 1 gram per 1 kg of body weight is the most ideal thing.
Okay. And what
he consumes idly, and I personally don't count what I'm consuming.
In terms of your fundraising plans, do you have any such plans in terms of raising money from investors or any such plans underway?
So on the business side of things, I believe I'm more old school, and as long as possible, I would like to avoid fundraising. I believe in the old school business practices. Businesses should be able to generate their own funds, and they should be profitable.
Right. So in terms of your company, you completely funded it on your own. How was that when you started off? Like,
so I funded it on my own. I have also funded it using debt from government institutions such as SIDBI. But there is no external funding in the company as of now.
Okay. And any new trends that you find exciting right now that you are currently vying, which is a good market opportunity or a potential market opportunity for your company?
I believe the drinkable segment in ready to drink dairy products is going to increase at a much rapid pace than it has so far.
Ready to eat, you said.
Ready to drink.
Ready to drink products, okay.
So, for example, worldwide, the drinkable yogurt, basically smoothies, outsell the spoonable version by far. Whereas that is not the case in India right now. The drinkable category is still very, very small, and the spoonable category is very large. So I believe ready to drink products in the dairy category, which is your smoothies, thick shakes, your high protein drinks, these are going to become a major player in time to come. That is my perception of things.
Oh, nice. So you feel that the Western markets have evolved there,
Yes.
which is also going to see an uptick in the Indian context as
Correct.
well. Right. And in terms of your revenue size for your business, what are you currently at, and how do you see that, say, in the next 5 years?
So we have been organically um, increasing our revenue cycle at about between 20 to 30% year on year,
Okay.
which I feel is fairly healthy.
Yeah.
Last year we crossed 100 CR in revenue, and for the next 3 year plan, we would like to be at least at a 200 to 250 CR revenue cycle.
Okay. Amazing. All the best again
Thank you very
for
much.
that journey. Parag, thank you so much for sharing those insights. I'm sure the listeners have had a good experience, understanding about the category, because there are so many misconceptions about this category which you have tried to answer in the best possible way. So thank you for being candid with the conversation today.
It was my pleasure, and thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you for being on my show. Guys, that was Parag Shah, the co-founder of SK Farms. If you've liked his story, please do drop in your comments below in the chat box, and we'd love to hear what you thought of this segment particularly. And do follow us on Breakthrough Moments with Priyanka Bhatt on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. Till then, keep building, stay curious, stay inspired.